Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a topic that's both vast and often misunderstood: Islam. What is it really about? What do its followers, known as Muslims, believe? Whether you're just curious or looking to deepen your understanding, you've come to the right place. We are going to break down the core principles of one of the world's largest religions, so let's get started. At its heart, Islam is a monotheistic faith, meaning its followers believe in one, and only one, God. In Arabic, this God is called Allah. Muslims believe that Allah is the same God worshipped by other Abrahamic religions, like Judaism and Christianity. The word Islam itself means submission or surrender to the will of God. A person who practices Islam is a Muslim, which means one who submits to God. Today, there are nearly 2 billion Muslims worldwide, making Islam the second largest religion on the planet. They come from every corner of the globe, from Indonesia to Morocco, from the United States to China, creating a vibrant and diverse global community. The central religious text of Islam is the Qur'an. Muslims believe the Qur'an is the literal word of God, revealed to the final prophet, Muhammad, over a period of about 23 years. For Muslims, it's the ultimate guide for life, covering everything from morality and worship to law and social justice. So, what are the fundamental beliefs that unite all Muslims? These are known as the 6 articles of faith. Think of them as the foundation upon which the entire structure of the religion is built. First, and most importantly, is the belief in one God, Allah. This is the cornerstone of Islam. Allah is seen as all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-merciful. Second is the belief in angels, spiritual beings created by God to carry out His commands. The most famous angel is Gabriel, who Muslims believe delivered the divine revelations to the Prophet Muhammad. Third is the belief in the holy books. Muslims believe God has sent down several scriptures throughout history, including the Torah to Moses and the Gospel to Jesus. However, they believe the Qur'an is the final and most complete revelation, preserved in its original form. Fourth is the belief in the prophets. Muslims believe God has sent numerous messengers to guide humanity, starting with Adam, the first man. This line of prophets includes well-known figures like Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Muslims hold Jesus in very high regard as a great prophet of God, but they do not believe he is divine. The final prophet in this lineage is Muhammad, who is seen as the seal of the prophets. His life and teachings, known as the Sunnah, serve as a model for Muslims to follow. Fifth is the belief in the Day of Judgment. Muslims believe that on this day, all people will be resurrected and held accountable for their actions in this life. It's a day of ultimate justice, where people will be rewarded with paradise or punished for their misdeeds. Finally, the 6th article is the belief in divine decree, or QDR. This is the concept that everything that happens, both good and bad, is part of God's divine plan. It doesn't negate free will. Rather, it's about trusting in God's wisdom, even when things are difficult to understand. Now that we've covered the core beliefs, let's talk about the core practices. In Islam, these are known as the 5 pillars. These are the obligatory acts of worship that are fundamental to being a Muslim and strengthen one's faith and connection to God. The first pillar is the Shahada, or the Declaration of Faith. This is the simple yet profound statement: there is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. Reciting this with sincere belief is the entry point into Islam. It affirms the monotheistic foundation and the role of Muhammad as the final prophet. The second pillar is Salat, or prayer. Muslims are required to perform 5 formal prayers each day at specific times: dawn, noon, mid-afternoon, sunset, and night. Before praying, they perform a ritual washing called wudu to purify themselves. The prayers involve a series of recitations from the Qur'an and physical postures like bowing and prostrating. When they pray, Muslims all over the world face the same direction, towards the Kaaba, a sacred building in the city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. This creates a sense of unity and shared purpose. The third pillar is zakat, which means charity or almsgiving. It's an obligatory annual donation, typically 2.5% of a Muslim savings and wealth, given to the poor, needy, and other specific categories of people. Zakat is not just about helping others. It is considered an act of worship that purifies one's wealth and fosters a sense of social responsibility and compassion within the community. The fourth pillar is Sawm, or fasting, which takes place during the holy month of Ramadan. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. For the entire month, able-bodied adult Muslims are required to abstain from all food, drink, and other physical needs from dawn until sunset. Fasting is a time for spiritual reflection, self-discipline, and increased devotion. It's also a time to feel empathy for those who are less fortunate. The month ends with a joyous festival called Eid al-Fitr, a time for celebration, feasting, and visiting with family and friends. The fifth and final pillar is the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. Every Muslim who is physically and financially able is required to make this journey at least once in their lifetime. During the Hajj, pilgrims perform a series of rituals that trace the footsteps of the Prophet Abraham and his family. Millions of Muslims from all walks of life gather together, dressed in simple white garments, symbolizing their equality before God. It's a powerful experience of unity and spiritual renewal. Like any major religion, Islam is often subject to misunderstandings and stereotypes. Let's address a few of the most common ones to help clear the air. One of the most misunderstood terms is jihad. In the media, it's almost always translated as holy war, but its actual meaning is much broader and more profound. The literal Arabic meaning of jihad is struggle or effort. The greater jihad is considered the internal, spiritual struggle against one's own ego, temptations, and negative inclinations. It's the daily effort to be a better person, to be more patient, more honest, and more compassionate. The lesser jihad can refer to a physical struggle, including the defense of one's faith, family, or homeland against aggression. However, Islamic law lays down very strict rules for this kind of engagement, emphasizing that it must be a last resort and that civilians and non-combatants must never be harmed. Equating jihad solely with violence is a gross oversimplification of a deeply spiritual concept. Another common area of misconception surrounds the role of women in Islam. Many people have an image of Muslim women as oppressed and lacking rights. While it's true that in some cultures, women face significant challenges, these practices often stem from local traditions, not from the core teachings of Islam. In fact, when Islam was revealed in the 7th century, it granted women rights that were revolutionary for the time. These included the right to own property, to inherit, to receive an education, and to consent to marriage. The Qur'an repeatedly emphasizes the spiritual equality of men and women. The headscarf, or hijab, which many Muslim women choose to wear, is often seen as a symbol of oppression. But for many who wear it, it's a personal choice and a proud expression of their religious identity and devotion. Finally, it's crucial to address the link between Islam and terrorism. The violent actions of extremist groups who claim to act in the name of Islam are a perversion of the faith and are condemned by the overwhelming majority of Muslims worldwide. The Qur'an explicitly forbids killing innocent people. In fact, it states that killing one innocent person is like killing all of humanity. These extremist groups represent a tiny fraction of the global Muslim population, and their hateful ideology is a rejection of the core Islamic principles of peace, mercy, and justice. The vast majority of Muslims are peaceful, law-abiding citizens who want the same things everyone else does: to live in peace, provide for their families, and practice their faith without fear. So, to wrap things up, Islam is a comprehensive faith that provides a complete way of life for its followers. It is built on a foundation of belief in one God and is guided by the Qur'an and the example of the Prophet Muhammad. Its practices, the 5 pillars, are designed to keep believers connected to God and to the community. While there are many misconceptions, understanding the core tenets of Islam is the first step toward building bridges and fostering mutual respect and dialogue in our increasingly interconnected world. Islam is not a monolith. It's a diverse, dynamic faith with a rich history, practiced by billions of people around the globe. Thank you so much for joining me today to learn a little more about this fascinating religion. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Let us know in the comments if you have any other questions. See you in the next one.